All right, ready to climb high. Today, we're talking all about high riggers and how to totally crush that job interview.
We're going to give you the tools and the knowledge to walk into that interview with confidence. You'll be ready to show them you're the rigging expert they've been searching for.
I've been digging into RoleCatcher's career guide and interview guide, all about high riggers. This job is way more fascinating than I thought. These are the folks who create those massive structures at concerts and theaters.
It's this really cool blend of technical skills and physical strength. And of course, always a huge focus on safety. Interviewers are really going to want to see that you've got all three.
So if you're ready to basically make gravity your playground, let's get into it. We're going to break down the toughest high rigger interview questions and give you the inside scoop on crafting those winning answers.
It's your chance to really showcase your passion, your experience, and your unwavering commitment to safety.
All right, first question. Straight from RoleCatcher's interview guide. What experience do you have working at height? Sounds simple, but what are they really digging for here?
They want proof, not just promises. They want to know you've actually been there and done that safely. It's not enough to just say, I'm not afraid of heights. You need to have a history of working effectively up high.
Got it. So how do you make your answer really stand out?
Be specific. Give them the details. Talk about your previous roles or projects where working at height was a key part of the job. What kinds of structures were you working on? What equipment were you using? How high up did you go? And always talk about the safety precautions you took.
And I bet if I was the interviewer, I'd have some follow-up questions. Really dig into that experience.
Oh yeah, they'll want to know more for sure. They might ask about some challenges you faced on a project, how you made sure everyone was working safe, or even, what's your experience with different types of equipment, like scaffolding or rope access systems. Be prepared to go deeper.
RoleCatcher actually has some really good sample responses to help you structure your answers. Want to share one for this question?
Sure. Here's one. In my last job as a construction worker, I was often up on scaffolding, like 50 feet high. I was installing siding and roofing and always following strict safety protocols, including wearing harnesses, lanyards, and using fall arrest systems.
That's perfect. Short, to the point, and really shows you know what you're doing.
And it uses all those important keywords that RoleCatcher's AI would pick up on. It shows that you know what matters in this field.
All right, question number 2. Can you describe any safety procedures you have followed while working at height? This one feels like it's all about safety, right?
You got it. They want to know you're safety-minded. In this job, it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about why they're there and showing you take a proactive approach to safety.
So what does a good answer sound like?
Well, think about the most important safety procedures and give specific examples of how you put them into practice. Talk about pre-work equipment inspections, using fall protection, communication with your team, emergency procedures. They want to know you don't mess around when it comes to safety.
What if they want to see how you think on your feet? What kind of a follow-up question might they ask?
Maybe something like, tell me about a time you noticed a potential safety hazard. How did you handle it?
They want to know you're not just following the rules, but you're really thinking about safety all the time.
Tough one. But good to be ready for it. I bet RoleCatcher has a sample answer for something like that.
They do. Here's a piece of it. Before every shift, I'd carefully check my harness, lanyards, and all my safety equipment, looking for any wear or tear. I also made sure to communicate clearly with my team, especially when working in close proximity to each other, to avoid any accidents.
It's more than just saying I checked everything. You're painting a picture of being careful and methodical. And this is a good spot to bring in some insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. They emphasize how important it is to have those industry standard safety certifications, like rope access technician or construction safety.
Yeah, good point. Having those certs shows you're serious. Like a big sign flashing, hire me, I'm a safety pro.
Exactly. Adds a lot of credibility, shows you're going above and beyond.
Okay, question number 3. How do you ensure that all equipment is in good working condition before using it? Another safety one. Attention to detail.
Definitely. With high rigging equipment, even a small problem can have big consequences. They want to know you're really careful about inspecting and maintaining equipment.
So how do you show that you're meticulous?
Walk them through your process. How do you inspect ropes, cables, pulleys, harnesses, all of it before each use? What do you look for, like signs of wear and tear? How do you check for lubrication? Make sure everything's assembled correctly. Be specific. The technical details matter here.
Like you're saying, I don't just use equipment, I understand it.
Exactly. And if you know specific brands or models, mention those too.
Let's flip it around. Say I'm the interviewer, I like your answer, but I want to push a bit further. What might I ask?
Maybe something about your experience with documenting those inspections, or what you'd do if you found a piece of equipment that was faulty. Would you flag it right away? Do you know the procedure for taking it out of service? Those are the things that show you're not just going through the motions, but you really understand how important this is.
RoleCatcher's like a mind reader. They even have a sample response for that, don't they?
They do. Here's a bit of it. Before using anything, I always inspect all the rigging equipment carefully, looking at ropes, cables, and harnesses for any fraying, kinking, or any kind of damage. And I make sure all the connections are secure and that all the moving parts are lubricated.
You're showing that it's more than just a quick glance. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, and notice how it focuses on that visual inspection and checking for the specific types of damage that could be a real problem.
Okay, next up is question number 4. How do you ensure you're following all safety protocols when rigging equipment? This feels like it's about your own personal commitment to safety.
It is. They're trying to figure out if you follow safety protocols just because you have to, or because you really believe in them, and because you take responsibility for your actions.
So I can't just say, I follow the rules. What do I need to do to make my answer better?
Talk about your own mindset. What makes you remember the potential dangers of high rigging? Does that drive you to be super careful about protocols? You could even talk about specific things you do to stay focused, like pre-task checklists or even mental rehearsals.
I feel like you're showing them that safety is a part of who you are.
Exactly. Now put yourself in the interviewer's shoes. What kind of follow-up would you ask to really test that commitment?
Maybe. Have you ever had to correct a teammate who wasn't following procedures? How'd you handle that? Or even, what would you do if a client or a supervisor tried to get you to cut corners on safety? That's when it gets real.
Absolutely. They want to know you'll stand up for safety, even when it's tough.
RoleCatcher, of course, has a sample response for this too. Let's hear it.
Here's how it goes. I always think about how every choice I make on the job could impact the safety of myself and everyone around me. That's what makes me double-check everything, confirm all the calculations, and strictly follow all the safety protocols, even when time is tight.
It's all about taking responsibility and showing that commitment to safety.
And notice how it shows that you can stay calm and focused, even when things are stressful. Another important trait for a high rigger.
All right, question number 5. Can you describe your experience with knot, tying, and rigging techniques? Now we're getting into the hands-on stuff.
Absolutely. This is where you showcase those technical skills. They don't just want someone who can tie a basic knot. They want to see you understand the different types of knots and when to use them. And, of course, how to use them safely in different rigging situations.
So how do I impress them with my answer?
Start with specifics. What knots are you good at? Especially the ones commonly used in high rigging, like bowlines, clove hitches, figure eights. But don't just list them off. Tell them how you've actually used those knots on real projects. Like, I used a bowline to secure a load to a crane hook. Or, I created a temporary anchor point with a series of clove hitches for a safety line.
It's like saying, I don't just know knots, I can use them.
Right. And if you know any specialized rigging techniques like block and tackle systems or different ways of tensioning, mention those too.
So I'm the interviewer now. You've got me interested. What kind of follow-up could I ask to see more?
They might ask you to actually show them a specific knot, either by describing it or even using a piece of rope if they have one handy. Or they could give you a made-up rigging scenario. How would you approach this? What knots and techniques would you use?
Talk about thinking on your feet. Let's see what RoleCatcher suggests for an answer here.
Here's a sample response. I know a bunch of different knots, like the bowline, clove hitch, and figure eight. In my last job, I used these all the time to secure loads, create anchor points, and build those complex rigging systems you need for lifting and suspending equipment. I also have experience with block and tackle systems.
Nice. It shows you got a wide range of skills.
And it touches on those important skills of working with complex systems and heavy loads, essential stuff for a high rigger.
Okay, on to question number 6. Can you describe your experience with different types of equipment used in rigging? This seems related to the knot question, but now we're focusing on the tools.
Exactly. The last one was about your hands-on skills. Now they want to know how comfortable you are with the actual equipment. Can you pick the right tool for the job? Do you know how to use it safely and properly?
So more than just saying, I've used ropes and pulleys before.
Right. You need to show them you really know your stuff. Think about all the different categories. Lifting equipment like chain hoists and winches, connecting hardware like shackles and carabiners, safety gear like harnesses and lanyards. Don't forget about specialized rigging equipment like gin poles or come-alongs. The more detailed and specific you can be, the better.
It's like giving them a tour of your toolbox.
Exactly. And if you have any experience with equipment used in specific industries, like theater or industrial rigging, that's a great thing to mention. Shows you're versatile.
Okay, let's put on our interviewer hats again. What kind of follow-up would really test their knowledge here?
They might ask you about inspecting or maintaining specific pieces of equipment, or they could ask you to compare different types and when you'd use each one. Like, when would you choose a wire rope sling over a chain sling? What are the pros and cons of using a come-along versus a chain hoist? They want to see that you can think critically about the tools.
Almost like a pop quiz.
Yeah.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you get ready for these kinds of technical questions.
Yeah, the AI can find those keywords in the job description and give you ideas for what to include in your answers.
It's like a secret weapon. So what does RoleCatcher suggest for an answer to this question?
Here's a little bit of it. In my past rigging jobs, I've worked with a lot of different equipment. Chain hoists, come-alongs, wire rope slings, shackles, carabiners, the whole works. And I'm familiar with specialized theatrical rigging too, like automated fly systems. I'm good at inspecting and maintaining this equipment to make sure it's safe and works properly.
That answer shows you've got a wide range of experience.
And it shows you're comfortable with both the standard rigging equipment and the specialized stuff, which suggests you're adaptable and can handle different types of projects.
Nice. Okay, question number 7. How do you ensure that all work is completed on time and within budget? Now they're asking about project management.
You got it. Safety and technical skills are super important, but high riggers also need to be good project managers. They often work with tight deadlines and budgets. Interviewers want to know you can handle the pressure.
They're looking for someone who's organized, efficient, and can get things done.
Exactly. This is your chance to highlight those skills.
Okay, give me the winning formula for answering this one.
First, show that you understand project timelines and budgets. Then talk about how you stay on track. Do you create detailed plans? Break big tasks into smaller ones? Do you carefully monitor your progress? Let them know your system.
But things don't always go according to plan. Especially in a field like this, what about when things go wrong?
That's where problem solving and adaptability come in. Give them examples from your past projects. Did you ever have to come up with a creative solution when a piece of equipment broke down? Did you ever have to rearrange tasks to accommodate a last-minute change? Let them know how you handled those situations.
So show them you can handle the punches.
Right. And communication is key too. It's really important to keep everyone updated. Your clients, your team, let them know about your progress, any potential delays, and any changes to the plan.
It's like the safety harness of project management. Keeps everything together.
I like that. Now, if I was the interviewer, I'd want to see how you handle those really stressful situations. What follow-up might I ask?
Maybe something like, tell me about a time you had to change a project timeline because of something unexpected. Or, how would you handle it if a project was going over budget?
Good examples. They want to know you can think on your feet, make tough calls, and communicate clearly, even when things get a little messy.
Okay, what's the RoleCatcher sample response for this question?
Here's a piece of it. To make sure projects stay on track and on budget, I always create a really detailed plan with clear milestones and timelines. I break big tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, and I keep track of my progress using project management tools. I also make sure to communicate openly with everyone, clients, team members, everyone. I provide regular updates and pros actively address any potential delays or budget concerns.
It's like a project management masterclass, all in one answer.
And it emphasizes that proactive approach to risk management and communication, which is a big plus.
All right, moving on to question number 8. We're back to safety, I think. The question is, how do you ensure that all work is done to the highest safety standards? It sounds like they're asking about more than just following the rules yourself, like creating a culture of safety.
Exactly. It's about getting everyone on the team to be safety-minded, to make it a priority. They're looking for leadership here, especially if you're going for a more senior role.
They're looking for that safety-first champion.
Right. They want to see that you know how to create an environment where safety isn't just a box to tick, but something everyone believes in.
Okay, I'm ready to be the safety leader. How do I answer this in a way that really gets that across?
Start with your own commitment to safety, but then shift the focus to how you influence others. How do you make sure everyone knows the safety expectations? Do you lead by example, by always following the rules yourself? Do you provide safety training and encourage people to speak up about potential hazards?
You need to walk the walk and talk the talk when it comes to safety.
Exactly. Now think about it. What happens if someone's constantly ignoring those safety procedures? How would you handle that as a leader?
You had to be firm but fair. You need to fix the behavior without making things hostile.
Right. Address that directly. Tell them how you would approach the situation. Would you talk to them directly? Go to a supervisor if you needed to. Emphasize that you're committed to correcting unsafe behavior while also keeping things respectful and collaborative.
Like you're a safety diplomat. You have to be able to handle those tricky situations.
That's a great way to put it. So, how does RoleCatcher address this question? Here's a piece of their sample response. I believe that creating a strong safety culture starts with clear communication and setting a good example. I make sure to clearly explain the safety procedures and expectations to everyone on my team, and I always lead by example. I also encourage people to speak up if they see something that's not safe or if they have any concerns. I want everyone to feel comfortable talking about safety.
It's all about making sure everyone takes responsibility for safety.
And it highlights those important things like clear communication, setting a good example, and creating an environment where people aren't afraid to raise concerns.
Okay, on to question number 9, and it looks like we're into problem solving. Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a problem while rigging equipment? This is a pretty classic interview question. They want to see how you handle those curveballs.
You got it. High rigging rarely goes perfectly according to plan. Equipment can break down, the weather can change, and there are always unexpected challenges. They want to see how you think under pressure.
It's not about knowing the right answer. It's about showing them you can think things through, figure out the root of the problem, and come up with a solution.
Exactly. They want to see how your mind works. Think back to a time you faced a challenge on the job. Maybe a motor on a chain hoist stopped working or a cable got tangled. Walk them through how you tackled that problem step by step.
You're like a rigging detective.
Exactly. And if you needed help from someone else, mention that. Teamwork is really important in this field.
Now I'm the interviewer, and I'm impressed with your problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
But I want to see if you can handle even tougher challenges. What might I ask?
They might ask you about a problem you couldn't solve alone. What did you do? Who did you go to for help? Or maybe a time when you had to make a tough decision under pressure, maybe choosing between two solutions that weren't ideal. How did you weigh the risks and benefits? How did you communicate your decision to the team?
Tough questions. They really want to know what you're made of.
Absolutely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you prepare for these types of questions. It analyzes the job description and can suggest relevant examples from your experience.
It's like having your own personalized interview coach. Okay, what's the RoleCatcher sample response for this question?
Here's a bit. We were working on a theater production and ran into a problem with a motorized fly system that lifts and lowers the scenery. The motor was making a weird noise and wouldn't run smoothly. I started by checking the power and connections, but everything looked fine. Then I checked the manual and thought it might be the gearbox. So with a colleague, we took it apart, found a worn-out bearing, and replaced it. After we put it all back together and tested it, the motor ran perfectly, and we were able to keep going with the production.
That's a great way to walk them through your thought process. You explain the problem, what you did, and the successful outcome.
And it shows you're good at teamwork, resourcefulness, and staying calm when things get tough.
Okay, last question for this part of our deep dive. Question number 10. How do you stay up to date with the latest safety protocols and rigging techniques? This one is all about learning and keeping your skills sharp.
Exactly. The world of high rigging is always changing. New equipment, techniques, safety rules, it's constantly evolving. This question is to see if you're someone who keeps learning or just sticks with what they already know.
You need to be a knowledge junkie.
Exactly. Be specific about what you do to stay on top of things. Do you read any industry publications, belong to professional organizations, attend conferences or workshops, taking any online courses? Tell them how you stay ahead of the game.
You're not just climbing the rigging, you're climbing that knowledge ladder too.
I love that. And don't forget to mention your own initiative. Are you working on improving any particular skills or techniques? Are you interested in any specific areas of the industry? Show them that you're a self-starter who loves to learn.
What if the interviewer wants to dig a little deeper? What kind of follow-up might they ask to see how you actually use all that knowledge?
They might ask you to describe a new safety protocol or rigging technique that you learned recently and how you applied it in your work. Or they might ask you about your favorite resources or how you share new knowledge with your team. They want to see that you're not just learning for yourself, but that you're also making the industry safer and more professional by sharing what you know.
You're not just a sponge. You're a fountain of knowledge. So how does RoleCatcher suggest we answer this question?
Here's a piece of their sample response. I'm a member of Name of Professional Rigging Organization, and I go to their conferences and workshops to learn about the latest advances in rigging techniques and safety protocols. I also subscribe to industry publications like Name of Publication and Name of Publication. Plus, I'm taking an online course on advanced rigging techniques. I think it's super important to keep learning in this field to make sure our work is safe and efficient.
That answer shows that you're committed to staying at the forefront of the industry. You're engaged, informed, and always looking to get better.
And it subtly shows that you value lifelong learning and always want to improve your skills.
We're back and ready to help you navigate the world of rigging so you can land your dream job.
That's right. We're back for more, ready to give you the tools and strategies you need to ace that interview.
We've already talked about some really challenging interview questions, but now let's get to the good stuff. The secret weapon.
RoleCatcher's AI is basically like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket and a career counselor all in one.
That's what I'm excited to talk about. But something's been on my mind. We've talked about the skills and the experience, but what about the bigger picture? Where can a career as a high rigger actually take you?
That's where RoleCatcher's career guide really comes in. It doesn't just tell you what a high rigger does day to day, but it actually lays out potential career paths you can take.
So you're saying there's more to life than just like rigging lights?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Once you get some experience under your belt, you can move up into leadership roles like supervisor or manager and start leading teams on bigger, more complex projects.
Okay, I can see myself as a high rigger foreman calling the shots from way up high. That's an office with a view.
And if safety is your thing, you can become a safety officer or a rigging consultant, making sure every project meets the highest safety standards.
I'm noticing a theme here. Safety, safety, safety. It's really at the heart of this whole profession, isn't it?
It really is. It's not just about your own safety. It's about everyone on the site. Your fellow riggers, the performers, everyone.
So how does RoleCatcher help you show that commitment to safety during an interview?
Their AI platform has this huge library of sample answers that are specifically tailored to interview questions. And a lot of them focus on, you guessed it, safety awareness and protocols.
So like a cheat sheet for perfect answers.
Not exactly a cheat sheet, more like a guide. It helps you craft strong answers that show off your knowledge and experience. And they're written in a way that interviewers are going to respond to.
Okay, walk me through it. Say I'm using RoleCatcher to prepare for an interview. How does the AI actually help me shape my answers to really highlight my safety focus?
It starts with the AI analyzing the job description. It picks out all those keywords that relate to safety, things like following OSHA regulations, using fall protection systems, conducting safety inspections.
Like it knows what the interviewer is looking for.
Yeah, you could say that. And then it suggests sample responses that use those exact keywords, so you're basically speaking their language.
That's really smart. What about those questions where they ask you to describe how you'd handle a specific safety issue? Can RoleCatcher help with those too?
Absolutely. It's got tons of those situational questions and sample responses, and a lot of them focus on safety scenarios. You can practice your answers and even get AI-powered feedback.
What kind of feedback does it give?
It looks at your answers for things like clarity, conciseness, and relevance. It might suggest adding more details, using stronger verbs, or really emphasizing those key safety protocols we've been talking about.
So it's like having your own personal editor just for interview answers.
Exactly. And the best part is, it's all personalized to you and the specific job you're going for.
Okay, RoleCatcher sounds more impressive every minute. But let's not forget, this job isn't all about safety. It's also about knowing those rigging techniques and equipment like the back of your hand.
You're right, of course. And that's another area where RoleCatcher's AI can really help you stand out.
How so? How does it help someone show off their technical chops during an interview?
It works in a similar way to how it analyzes job descriptions for those safety keywords. The AI will also look for technical terms that are specific to high rigging.
Things like block and tackle systems, load capacity calculations, tensioning methods, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And then it suggests sample answers that use those terms, which proves to the interviewer that you don't just know the words, but you understand how to actually apply those concepts in a real-world situation.
Like having a built-in technical glossary for interviews. No more searching for the right words.
Exactly. And it helps you avoid sounding like you're just reading from a textbook.
So instead of just saying, I know about block and tackle systems,
Yeah.
I could say, I used a 4.1 block and tackle system to lift a 500-pound lighting truss at a concert.
Perfect example. It's specific, it shows action, and it clearly demonstrates that you understand both the equipment and the rigging principles behind it.
I'm sold on the interview prep. But can we circle back to those career paths? I'm really curious about the different specialties available to high riggers.
Of course. As you gain experience, you might decide to focus on a specific area of high rigging. RoleCatcher's Career Guide outlines a bunch of these specializations. Each one has its own set of skills and challenges.
Tell me more. I'm ready to explore my options.
Well, there's theatrical rigging, which is all about working in theaters, setting up those complex systems they use for stage productions, think Broadway shows, opera houses, that kind of thing.
That sounds pretty glamorous, working with famous people and creating those amazing stage effects.
It can be pretty exciting. Then you've got industrial rigging, which takes place in places like construction sites, power plants, shipyards, anywhere you need to move really heavy equipment. It's a lot more, well, heavy duty.
So how do you know which path is right for you?
It depends on your interests, your skills, and your long-term goals. There's no single answer.
So someone who loves a fast-paced, creative environment might be drawn to theatrical rigging, while someone who loves hands-on problem-solving might prefer industrial rigging.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher provides tons of information about both, like the skills you need, what you'd be doing on the job, and potential career paths within each specialization.
It's like having your own career counselor, helping you choose a path that fits your passions.
That's the idea, helping you make smart decisions.
I like that. Let's talk about actually getting the job. Even if you nail the interview, you need a killer resume to even get your foot in the door.
Totally agree. And guess what? RoleCatcher's got you covered there, too. Their AI-powered resume builder is seriously impressive.
Okay, tell me more. How does this AI magic work? How does it create a resume that really stands out?
It's similar to the interview prep. It starts by analyzing the job description and finding the key skills and experience they're looking for.
So again, it's reading the hiring manager's mind.
You could say that. And then it recommends keywords and phrases to use throughout your resume, tailoring it to that specific job.
It's like having your own professional resume writer.
And it does more than just keywords. The AI also looks at the structure and format of your resume and gives you tips on how to make it look more professional and easier to read.
So it's like a resume makeover.
It's all about presenting yourself in the best way possible, both with the content and the way it looks.
RoleCatcher is sounding like the ultimate tool for anyone who wants to work in high rigging.
It really is. And it's not just for high riggers. These resources and AI tools can be helpful for a lot of different careers.
Whether you dream of working high above the stage or in a completely different field, RoleCatcher can help you navigate that whole job search process, get ready for interviews, and finally, land your dream job.
It's personalized career guidance, powered by cutting-edge AI.
This has been a really eye-opening look at the world of high rigging and the tools that can help you reach new heights in your career.
But hold on, we're not done yet. In the last part, we'll share some final tips and insights to help you ace that interview and really stand out.
Stay tuned for the grand finale. We'll be right back. We're back for the final part of our High Rigger interview prep series. We've talked about the skills, the career paths, even the amazing AI tools that can give you an edge.
We've covered a lot, but there are a few more nuggets of wisdom to share before you walk into that interview room.
All right, I'm ready. What are some final tips that can really make a candidate shine?
You know, passion and enthusiasm are so important. High rigging is a unique field. It takes dedication. You really have to love it. Let that come through in your answers.
So it's not just about listing your skills and experience. You have to let them see your excitement.
Exactly. Talk about what got you into this line of work, what gets you pumped about working at those heights, what kinds of projects really get you going.
Enthusiasm is contagious. What else?
Be ready to talk about teamwork. High rigging is a team effort. Interviewers want to know you can work well with others, especially when safety is so crucial.
So talk about those projects where you had to collaborate, communicate clearly, maybe even resolve conflicts.
Right. And don't be shy about sharing those stories where you helped create a positive team environment or helped a teammate overcome a challenge. Those are the things that interviewers remember.
Teamwork really does make the dream work, especially when you're hundreds of feet up. What else should we keep in mind?
Think about what makes you you. What's your personal brand? What sets you apart from everyone else? What special skills or experience can you bring to the table?
So if you've got a background in rock climbing or you're amazing at solving problems under pressure, those are things to mention.
Definitely. And don't forget about those soft skills like communication, being adaptable, having a positive attitude. Those are important in any job.
It's not just about your skills, it's about you as a person.
Let your personality come through, be yourself, be enthusiastic, show them why you'd be a great addition to their team.
Great advice. But let's be honest, interviews can be nerve-wracking. Any tips for calming those pre-interview jitters?
Preparation is key. The more prepared you are, the more confident you'll feel. And that's where those AI tools from RoleCatcher can really make a difference.
Yeah, practice those interview questions, get feedback from the AI, and use that resume builder to create a strong application.
Exactly. And do your research on the company and the specific position. The more you know, the more relaxed you'll be during the interview.
Knowledge is power. Okay, it's interview day. What are your tips for making a great first impression?
Dress professionally. Be on time, maybe even a few minutes early, and be ready to have a friendly, professional conversation.
Smile. A genuine smile goes a long way.
Make eye contact, listen carefully, and show that you're excited about the opportunity.
Great tips. What about after the interview? Do you just wait and hope for the best?
Not at all. Sending a thank you note can really make a difference. It shows you're still interested and leaves a good impression.
What should you say in a thank you note?
Thank them for their time and consideration. Reiterate your interest in the position, and mention something specific from the interview that stood out to you.
Simple and effective. Anything else?
Don't be afraid to follow up if you haven't heard back in a reasonable time. It shows you're proactive and still interested.
So be persistent, but not annoying.
Exactly. And remember, even if you don't get this specific job, every interview is a learning experience. You can use it to improve for next time.
It's all part of the journey. Never give up on those passions.
Well said.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of high riggers and how to nail that interview. We've covered the skills, the career paths, the amazing AI tools that can give you an edge.
Remember, safety always comes first. Let your passion shine through and never stop learning. Those are the keys to success in this field.
If you're ready to take your high rigging career to the next level, check out RoleCatcher. Their resources and AI-powered tools can make a huge difference.
And even if you're not planning on becoming a high rigger, a lot of the skills we've talked about today apply to any job.
So stay safe, keep learning, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.